This is the first one. This was, I made this for the crowdfunding campaign just to kind of show the kind of device that I wanted. It had, you know, regular push button switches, and it got the job done, but it, you know, of course it never worked. And when I was designing it, I knew I needed to put stuff in there, you know, but you can see that's way small in there. So this was mainly just so that I could like put my hands in it like this, so that I could put my hands in it and see how it was going to fit, you know, this kind of thing, right? So that gave me a chance to see where my finger placement was most comfortable. You can see there, that kind of thing, right? So then I made this one. This one actually worked. This one was hideous, but I liked it, and it had enough room for everything, maybe too much room. But as you can see here, it broke, and both of them broke actually, because it was paper mache. And you can see that having the controls here, which at the time seemed like a logical place to put it, it wasn't very logical, and it hurt, and it wasn't very comfortable. So these didn't last very long at all. I think I made one video and then instantly went to work on these. These worked really well. These are great. I love these. If you look, you can see this was something that I had to do to get it to fit on my hand properly. This is a bottle cap, and these are two pieces of foam, so that when my hand is on it like this, you can see that it keeps it from shifting around. So, like, wait just a second, let me put that there for a sec. I don't have a film guy today. So, ow. So, you can see that goes on. I don't have to hold it. The bottle cap keeps it centered on my hand, and this gives me a little bit of leverage when I have to push things. The key spacing is nice, and here, this was the beginning of that switch thing that I had that was that came from my WX5 in a sense. They had upper keys that I used to control things. So that was there, and then there was a joystick that broke off, and that was there. And both of these are at the same angle as the finger that they're controlling, and it gives me this kind of a pinch thing, you can see. So when I would do effects, I could do it from this point of view, and it doesn't shake off, right? All right, so this, I used this for a long time until I got into 3D printing, and then I printed these. These were the red babies. These were great, and these were cool because they were much more solid, you know, everything, and you can see that it keeps the same design metaphor, the joystick being there and the other one being up here that I would move my finger towards. Now, over time, that got to be old, and I would have to pick up my finger to move it in other directions. So I redesigned it like this. So the joystick is actually underneath this thing, and then the other joystick is there. So together, let's see. So together, you know, I was able to just go, you can see it there, like forward, backwards. You know, you've got a lot of range, and then you've got the other joystick here, and it's solid. It was much more solid than I thought it was going to be. That's beat, and then, of course, jazz. And it was much more solid than I thought it was going to be. It was adjustable, and you see the palm points that I had in the previous versions from the bottle caps. From here, that turned into these points here. These still have the plastic on them. These points here. So that keeps it locked into my hand, and this worked really well. Over time, you can see that this is kind of a flat plane here. And what I realized over time was that, you know, holding my hand in this position to vary the accelerometer, which was on the same plane. See, this was the piece that did that, and the accelerometer was here. So I would hold my hand like this to get it level. But then I realized that if I tilted that, it would, then the plane was here, which was much more natural for my hand. So it's the same thing you see in there. You can see the accelerometer right there, that red bit there under the keypad there. So when I hold my hand like this, instead of like this, it's like this. It was much more natural. So this was a natural progression from holding my hand like this to tilt parameters to holding it more like this, right? And that gave me a lot more feel. I didn't have to like always reset my hands like this, and I didn't really like that kind of a pose. And when I started with the 3D printing, there's a lot of iteration that goes into it. Like before I decided on this framework type of thing, I actually created a shell, and it didn't turn out too well, and it used way too much plastic, took a long time to print, and as you can see, it's hideous. So, so that was supposed to go there instead of these pieces. So by using these on the back plate, this allowed for much less plastic and the same kind of structural rigidity. Now, these are all the different iterations that I've gone through, especially this one. I love this one because this was to press the joystick up into this piece here. So that kept it in place, and it was a pain in the ass to keep that working properly, or to put the joysticks together and then to mount them onto here like this, and to put the joystick in and then have to put all this stuff around it, which is probably a contributing factor to it not being built by anyone but myself right now. So I wanted to go towards a fully 3D printed version, right? So this was the first of the wrong types. And the wrong process is actually necessary now, I'm finding. I create something that just kind of gives me an idea in the direction that I'm going, and then I can see from there that, oh, that's the wrong direction, let's go in the other direction, whatever the other direction is. So this was just making one of these pieces and bolting it onto something that I already had, but then I realized that I was going to have to pretty much rethink the whole design. So I started playing with pieces. Like this doesn't even have a place to put a handle, but I just needed to see it in my hand to see how it felt, to see how big it was, that kind of thing. And these holes are for the buzzer mount, which was always part of this design, right? So this was one of the first wrong designs. This has a pin that goes all the way down through it. This has all the basic parts that I was going to put into that I put into the version that I'm using now. You can see this is the keypad mount. Wait just a second, let's see. This is and this is not the keypad mount. This is the array of switches. This is where my thumb and my finger go. You see, here and here. And like before, I just needed to see it. I needed to hold it and to, get a chance to see how this was going to work with my system. This slot here is for the accelerometer, right? So this gave me a chance to look at how these pieces could fit together. This was the original mount for the circuit board idea, and all of that stuff is over here, but I'm going to come to that in a sec. And then the reimagining of the keypad. It was still flat in this version, but this was always supposed to fit on top of the Arduino, which was going to be here in this slot. And then I put this on top to secure it, like that, right? Then the handle, I always had the idea of, with this version, to have the handle rotate rather than be straight like this. So this went through a lot of iterations. This is one here, as you can see. This one was just way not going to happen. But through all of this process, I had this transparent plastic I got from a place here in Berlin called No DNA, and using the hexagon fill, it was always going to be something that was going to refract light, which was the thing that I gained from going from this version to this version. This is transparent plastic. It picks up light very well, and that's the reason why in all the videos the controllers are glowing. When I did this one, I made, I think, maybe 1 or 2 videos with it, and the LED was in the front. That's back when it used to face forward, and it was cool, and it got the point across, but it was a very small point of light, and I thought that I was going to need more powerful light to do it, but then I realized that if I just turned the light inward, it would light up everything, make everything glow. So I've been playing with that process quite a bit over the last year. So I've gone through the process of kind of getting this keypad mechanism to work here. So this was where the finger and the thumb go, and this was where the keypad mounts. Now this was something that I'm happy about. This was like a key mechanism here. So for instance, let me see if I can find it. Here we go. This is a good example. With this version, I decided to start over. So I had started with this. I made this one and saw that it was just not a feasible way to go. It was going to, this one's already broken. So this was not going to be robust enough for me to play or to give to my contributors. So I started over. And so with this, and these are some of the iterations of going in the new design direction. And all of these, you can see, have this this slotted thing here. And what that does, let me take this off, is, let's see, just a second. I have to do this like this. Okay, so as you can see here, what happens is that this slots into the back plate. You push that down, and then the other slot here locks it into place. So like that. And then that's locked in, and it's not going to slide out that way. So it can slide out this way here. So that's the top, the keypad mount. And so then I take the bottom, which is this. This is where the bottom joysticks are for the octaves and stuff. This is an old one. Let's go with, say, this one. This one's a little bit more recent. This was another iteration. And you see it has slots as well. So this goes like this. Holding a camera. Okay. That goes like that. That slots in, and boom. That actually holds this in place. So now the top plate can't slide out anymore, right? So then you have a solid structure, you know, and it's very robust. And then the keypad goes on top of there, but the piece that holds it all together is the handle. Now this part is still being iterated, but I went through a lot of phases with this one. This one at first it was this, but then it turned to this, which is, I think this one, I don't know if that one broke or not, but this was just one to see what it would look like. And it went through all of these phases, and then I realized that, for instance, it would hurt right here when I would put pressure on my hand and that kind of thing. So I started going, so I added this here to kind of keep that from being painful. Slots in there, and then this little hook here slots into this little hole right here. You can't really see it, but I'll show you. There we go. So this slots in here like this. See? Just like that. That rotates. And then this, at this point, pops into there. And so you can see, and then this is where the buzzer goes. I'll show you. This is the actual one that works. But I wanted to show you the other pads soon. But this goes in here. So that pops in there and twists. See, so that's locked in. So you have a very strong structure. It's very robust. You know, it's not going to break, you know, that kind of thing. So it's much, of course, I'm not doing this with the one with all the parts in it and stuff, but you don't see pieces flying off of it, you know, in regular use, you know. You know, I wouldn't like roll over it with a car yet or anything, but it's stronger than the previous one, which, of course, the previous one has never broken, but this one's stronger than that one, right? And these act the same as these. The bottle cap and the two things, the palm mount and the two things. This adds leverage. Now, so this design, this is how this iterated up to this point. So this is the design assembled, and this is the design taken apart. So you can see here that there's the buzzer that goes into the into that point there. You can see here that the keypad is on top of the Arduino and it protects it, right? There's an LED there, and there's an array of switches here and on the bottom for the thumb and the index finger. And all this, and although this looks messy, this is actually very good for me, because the circuit board is actually in the front panel of the plastic. So you can see that there's the resistors. I've just kind of soldered them straight into the plastic. And there's the place for the LED. And the wires just come out of there and they go into the Arduino, which can be just taken out. And this is very easy to assemble. It doesn't take much electronics knowledge to put this together. It would take about an hour altogether. So there it is, and this is it when it's completely assembled. There's the spot for the battery. The lights shine through here, so everything lights up, as you can see in the videos. So far right now I have external padding on it, but it's a very solid instrument. I'm not going to throw this one, but it's a very solid instrument and it fits very well. So I wanted to get a chance to show this to you, so that you would have so I have a historical record of this process, because I'm probably going to get rid of a lot of these pieces very soon, and so I wanted to get a chance to show them to you, show you how this how all this has progressed, and hopefully have it add on to the next stage of the project as it goes forward. Thanks. Cheers.